What's going on, folks? Well, actually, I do know what's going on. What's going on is that everybody is suffering through this self-imposed social isolation or quarantining, if you will. And basically, we have not had any contact with the outside world if you're doing this correctly. And I really, 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 really do hope that you're doing this correctly. But to help you get through it, the Garbled Podcast has come up with this little quarantine and chill survival guide for the coronavirus. And the idea is some of us are 3-4 days into it. Some of us are 6-7 days into this. And you're starting to go a little stir crazy and you're trying to figure out what to do with yourself. There's plenty to do. And it's funny because we're always complaining that we never have enough time to do certain things, right? We're always going on about how if I only had more time. Well, guess what? You have that time now. You have that time to check out that TV series that you've been meaning to check out. You have that time to read that book that you want to read. You have that time to maybe work out. I know it's not the gym, but there are plenty of exercises that you could do around the house. But the point is that there's time now to do all those things that we never get an opportunity to get to. So let's start getting to it. So we put together a little survival guide. TV shows, books, movies, albums, video games. Over the next couple of days, we're going to be talking about, all these different activities, maybe supplies that you can put together, do-it-yourself projects. But the idea is to give you something to hopefully get you through this whole situation. Because honestly, it doesn't look like there's necessarily an end in sight. Not a clear one anyway. So, video games, my personal list. And over the next couple of days, like I said, it's not just going to be me, but it's going to be other members of the Garbled Podcast and regulars on the Garbled Podcast. And some folks from Nerdtino who joined in as well, who are going to give you our own little things to keep you busy. But let's go through mine. Video games. Injustice 2. Hands down, one of the best fighting games, especially if you got some other people and an extra joystick to get down with. You can play that game. Grand Theft Auto 4 and Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, some people would say, all right, why did you put those two games? Why not just do the whole Grand Theft Auto saga or series? Because those two stick out in my mind as my absolute favorites. I got completely lost in both of those games. And they have really good stories. And there's enough side missions there to keep you busy for more than enough time. Star Wars, Jedi, Fallen Order. You know what? Say what you want to say about the recent Star Wars movies. They may have been trash, but we did get a really, really, really phenomenal game in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's on sale in a lot of places right now because they're trying to push it out there. Apparently GameStop's not closing down, so you can go there, or Target or Walmart. They all have it on sale right now. I even saw it at sale at Best Buy. We're not sponsored by any of those people, by the way. One of my personal favorites, for those of you who do mobile gaming, Castlevania Symphony of the Night came out on Android, and that is hands down one of my all-time favorite video games. And it took me back to when that game first came out, and it was a lot of fun, even on my phone. So, albums, music, because, music is one of those things that I love, but I never honestly get a chance to listen to all the music that I want to, because I listen to it in the car, and that's really it. But To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick Lamar. One of my all-time favorites, Wyclef Jean's The Carnival. You can listen to that entire damn album and have a ball listening to it. Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack. You want to talk about soundtracks that came out recently? Like, that entire soundtrack was dope as hell. It was nothing but good music on there, so you can check that out. The Roots. I'm from Philly. Gotta have a Roots album. Matter of fact, I have 2 Roots albums. The Roots Come Alive. It was one of their live albums recorded in Switzerland. It features a whole bunch of other artists, including Jill Scott in her early career. And then my personal favorite Roots album of their albums is Things Fall Apart. And that takes me back to the very late 90s, early 2000s. Movies. Again, some people would say, I did it again, Beverly Hills Cop 1 and Beverly Hills Cop 2. We're going to completely ignore Beverly Hills Cop 3 because it was not as good as those two. But those two movies will have you in stitches. A young Eddie Murphy getting through his movie, starting out his movie career. I mean, like, you're talking about Eddie Murphy at his finest. We also have the Dune, one of my personal favorites. I talk about it on Garbled all the time. The Dune miniseries. Not the 1984 David Lynch movies, but the one that was put out by the Sci-Fi Channel. If you do not have that, get a hold of it because it's going to captivate you for at least, I mean, we're talking about 3 movies in one. Another classic, one of my all-time favorites, Highlander. There can be only one. Coming to America. If you're looking for a good comedy to get you through, you're feeling a little down and gloomy, sit down, sit back, watch Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall in possibly the funniest movie ever made, Coming to America. And then to round off this list of movies, one of my all-time favorites, I remember my dad used to take me to the video store and I would rent. And this is one of those movies that I would re-rent and re-rent. Return of the Jedi has to be one of the best. I know there's some people that would say that the Empire Strikes Back is the best, but I'm going to argue that Return of the Jedi is the best. And the best example of a father's love. All right. Rounding off this list, books to check out. Of course, I'm going to say Dune Saga by Frank Herbert. That's hours and hours of reading. It's a little heavy reading, but it's definitely worth checking out. If you only read one book, read the first book in the Dune Saga, Dune. Then there's this great book that I stumbled across a couple of years back, about 2-3 years ago. It was called Sex at Dawn, and it talks about relationships. It talks about human sexuality. It talks about even why we cheat and why we stray from our partners. So it's a really good book to check out if you want to expand your mind a little bit. Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is one of my all-time favorite books. If you enjoyed the movie, you'll enjoy the book even that much better. Might be too on the nose with what's going on in the world right now, but we got World War Z by Max Brooks. I mean, you want something that's going to keep you turning the pages. That book, and especially with what's going on in the world, it is kind of frightening. And then if you want to learn a little bit, Astrophysics for People on the Go by Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's a really good book that breaks down some really complex ideas in a very simple, easy to digest manner. And then finally, to round out my list, TV shows that you have to check out. The Expanse on Amazon Prime right now. You have 4 seasons, and if you are like me and you love sci-fi and you love stories that worry about making sure that they get the science correct, then you will absolutely 100% love The Expanse. Another good show that if you like sci-fi and you like adventure and action, Legion on Hulu. Legion. If you're a big X-Men fan like me, then you'll love that. Then we have Altered Carbon. I'm starting to see a trend here with my stuff. I really love sci-fi. Altered Carbon on Netflix. Another good show. It's got 2 seasons on there, so that'll eat up 20 hours. Then this little gem that I stumbled across the other day called Gentified. And it takes the word gente in Spanish, my people, or people, and gentrified and puts them together. And it's a really good, so you want to talk about tight-knit storytelling? That's the show to check out. And then finally, Battlestar Galactica, the Sci-Fi Channel version. So hopefully you like those suggestions and you're down with it, and stay tuned to us. Over the next couple of days, we're going to be pumping out more of these videos and more suggestions to get you through the Corona apocalypse.